What's going on, you guys? We are here today. Ugh. Oh man. All right, we are here. So it's a little bit of some trading, not as much as last week, so I'm not gonna dedicate a whole video to it, but talk a little bit at the beginning of this video. Then after this, we can get into the power rankings. Let's get into this. Let me see. Let me put the Discord. So first trade of the week after the deadline was Chris Arizona Ash Ketchum drops Carbink for Shinotic. I like this. Carbink is good for the screen support, and it's a little bit more defensive, but it's a lot more passive. Um, I mean, I guess it fires off Moonblast, I guess, but still. Um, And Shinotic just gives a Spore user, which Chris, he wanted Shinotic anyway coming out of the draft, so I like it. I mean, it gives him another grass type. That's not really an issue, I don't think. It's always good to have a grass type. Fairy, still has a Fairy, and now he has a Spore user, which is pretty big. I mean, really just preference here. Didn't cared more about the sporing than the screens, so respectable. We'll see how he likes it and how much he brings it. Next trade is another pretty big one. The Daddy Diglets. A little spoiler warning here, but Daddy Diglets drop Dougie for Ditto. Um, this is pretty big. So coming into the draft, he wanted Doug Trio just because he's the Diglets and memes, and he realized that Doug Trio was just like a budget drill whenever he brought it. Because Drill's coming to every game, so for him to bring Dougie as well, it's just like having two Pokemon doing the same job, except one does it slightly worse. So, he realized that he didn't really need it, and that if he wants to really round out his team, he should probably look to get another pick. I was talking with him, giving him some suggestions. I was like, you could get Drifblim, you could get Trevenant or Gourgeist, that way you have a ground resist, or you could get Ditto. Uh, And once I told him all about Ditto, he was looking at it. He liked it, picked it up. Ditto's great. I mean, it, it's one of those Pokemon you have to prep for, even if it's coming or not. And it just plays that mind game in the prep. Because if you go into game and you're like, oh, I don't think he's bringing Ditto, and your dumbass brings setup, you can't use that move now until Ditto's dead, and that's really hard to deal with. Um, This gives him a reliable way to deal with setup sweepers. I don't think he's really had that issue yet this season, but again, just a way to deal with it regardless is pretty important. And Ditto, I was genuinely shocked when he didn't get picked up in the draft, but I'm glad he's finally on a team. Glad we can see it. Love my boy Ditto. Sauce, I remember you. Next trade is another free agency one. The Monroe Minans dropped Decidueye for Comfey. Um, I mean, this just makes sense. You need a like, I don't care what anyone says. Fairy Dragon Steel cores are too important. And even if you don't have one of that core, your team lacks a lot. And Tanner lacked both. He didn't have a Fairy or a Steel type, so when JC brought that Outrage Trick Room, he literally did not have a switch in, and he just got beat because of it. So yeah, getting this Fairy makes sense. Comfey, a tremendously good Fairy. Great base stats, good speed. HP stats a little low, but if you just run max HP, it's not that bad. But again, triage is just such. You get one Calm Mind up on Comfey, you just sweep a Draining Kiss and Giga Drain. It's insane. This Pokemon is crazy. It's a really good low tier fairy. I love it. I think it's a great pickup for him. Again, just having a fairy type on the team is so important. And Tanner probably has one of the better ones in the lower tiers. So I'm excited to see how Comfy will do. I'm excited to see what games he brings it to. Gonna be good for the boy. And then the next trade on the list was actually last night around midnight. This is a trade I even in the draft it didn't really make sense. Like it made sense, but looking at it in the post draft it didn't make sense at all. Um so Tanner, they finally did this trade. Tanner from the Monroe Mines and Wu with the Daddy Diglets, they traded their dragons away. Latias for Hydreigon. I'm gonna explain. So, might think this is bad for Tanner because he's like, oh, he doesn't have a defogger anymore. But Hydreigon does get defog. It also gets Roost. And no, didn't it lose access to Roost? Oh, it still has Roost. So it's defog and Roost. So let me explain it. Alright. He brought Latias to 1 or 2 sets this season so far. And it's KD's what, 2 and 3? Or is it? Yeah, 2 and 3. So he brought it to like 1 or 2 sets. And yeah. I mean, I get that it was his defogger, and bring Hydreigon makes it so he really doesn't want to have defog on that. Like, I understand. But the way Tanner plays is he doesn't care about hazards. He just wants to get in there and hit shit. And if he's going to play like that, he just needs to go all in with it. You know what I mean? He can't have Latias on his team and be dead weight if he's not even going to bring defog anyway. So why not just have Hydreigon? Also, coming out of the draft, he didn't have Umbreon. I forget what was there before. Um, what the fuck did he get rid of for Umbreon? He got rid of Donphan for Umbreon. So his team was so weak to Ghost and Dark Spam. He got Umbreon, which helped, but I think Hydreigon helps again. It just helps a lot to have. Hydreigon. I mean, we don't have to talk about this thing. Look at its stats. You Scarf it, you Specs it, doesn't matter. This thing's getting a massive hit on something with Specs, Dragon, or Draco Meteor. It gets Dragon Dance if you want to run a physical set, which could be cool to bring with like a dual Wing Beat, Earthquake, Fire Fang, or something. Gets Nasty Plots if you're Nasty Plot Life Orb with like a sub. Hydreigon's really good. Wu didn't know how to use it the best. It's okay. I mean, it's whatever. But for Wu, this is a pretty big trade for him as well. Because for Tanner's big, yeah, he loses Defogger, but this still gets Defog, so you can still bring Defog on this. It's like the 4th move. It's okay. And it gives him a more offensive dragon, which I think is pretty important. Latias for Wu is good. Gives him that bulky dragon that he desperately needed. Gives him a psychic type that can resist this fighting that his team has been weak to. So he has a dedicated fighting switch that isn't Aromatisse now. So he can bring in the Latias. It's got defog support. It's got healing wish support. It's got Roost. It's got recovery. It's got recover as well if he doesn't want Roost for whatever reason. It's I mean it's just good. It's a great it even has reflect type, which is pretty fucking sick to bring some weeks. Tailwind, trick, like it has it all. Latias just helps Wu's team so much. I'm not even kidding when I say this. Like, I'm glad I played Wu last week when he just had the Weezing, because now that he has Ditto and Latias, like, his team genuinely scares me. I really, like, I'm glad I got my game. Like, I still have to play him later in the season, don't get me wrong, but I'm glad I got my first game with him done now, so I don't have to face this team twice, because this team genuinely scary. Like, you look at it and it might not seem the scariest, but like this team is very good. Like coming out of the draft, he had a lot, like literally his whole team just got swept by fighting types. Now that he has the Latias and the Weezing, very hard to break through defensively, and the Ditto just helps with that offense even more than Doug Trio did. So this team's looking mad scary. I'll just be honest. I think it's a good trade for both ends. Because Tanner, like I said, doesn't really care about the defense. He just all offense. So Hydreigon just fills that role for him. Still has Levitate to get rid of like immune sticky web, stuff like that. And still the dragon. So really, it's just offense or defense. What does he prioritize? And the way that he plays, he prioritizes the off. Like literally, the only defensive Pokemon he brings to like most games as Lantern. Obviously, Umbreon was his first week last week, so he'll probably bring that as well. But he really only brings like 1 to 2 defensive Pokemon at most. The rest is just all heavy hitters. So if he's gonna do that, he might as well just have Hydreigon over Latias. Wasn't using it much anyway. I think it's a good trade for both of them. And yeah, so I'm excited to see what the Dragons would. I think this is probably the second biggest trade behind Tabs getting Mega Lopunny and getting rid of Medicham. I'll just be honest. So yeah, I'm excited to see how this trade goes. And yeah, there might be like 1 or 2 more player trades. I know a couple coaches have told me they're looking for some trades between other coaches, so we'll have to see. But I'm really looking forward to the new roster moves. Unfortunately, I don't play anyone that made roster moves of this week. Again, I'm recording this on Monday at 1:23, so if someone does make a roster move before midnight that I play, I will have to like obviously prep for it. But I'll go over that next week's video. Probably should have waited to go over trades until tomorrow's video, but whatever. I just want to get it out of the way now. Now we can actually get to the good part. Power rankings. For week 3. This is week 3. Okay. So yeah. As you can see, your boy pulled it out. I uploaded my VODs from my game with Woo and my game with Chris, but my game with Woo, holy shit. First time I've been brought to a game 3 this season, and goddamn, Woo gave me a run for my money. Oh man. Oh man, oh man, oh man. I've never had the feeling of defeat in a game before more than I have against Woo. There's just so many things that could have went wrong in game 2. Most of them did, and that's how I lost game 2. But game 1 and 3 was still so stressful. I had to make pretty. I mean, in hindsight, maybe not the hardest predictions, but when you're in the game, bro, it's just like it's so hard to make some of those moves sometimes. I didn't prep it all for Aromatisse, and I didn't prep it all for Venusaur, and they just walled my team, sort of. So, had to really play around it. Infernape did its job. It was tough. But enough about me. As you can see, Beedrill Bandits first week, they pick up a win. And they almost beat Tanner too, which was very surprising. B-Man, he lied. He got, bro, the way that he's playing, bro, he ain't new. I don't care what you say. He ain't new. Carolina Conkelders did manage to pick up their first win in Big Juice Championship League history Saturday against Arizona Ash Ketchums, which is good to see. Glad Preston finally got that dub under his belt. Helps cement a lot. It truly, truly does. Chase went 0-2 this week. Had a very tough matchup against Tabs and Mnaz. Didn't have anything that he prepped for the Blissey, so Blissey just kind of 6-0'd him. That was very tough to see. I felt really bad from that. It was just rough. Chris lost to Preston, which is tough because he made one wrong prediction and then Scissor swept his team. Then against me, it was pretty tough. I kept the rocks up, kept that Charizard weak, and he couldn't really do much. Daddy Diglets, I don't care what you say about Woo. He might have got the Blissey Chanseys went crazy this week because Woo had nothing to break through that Chansey, but his game against me, bro, that's nothing but respect. Nothing but respect. He gave me a run for my money like no one else in this league has. Obviously, I still need to play Tabs and Mnaz and Tanner. Played Tanner last season. I beat him. So this will be my second game against Tanner. I don't play him this week, but the week after this week. So we can get our second match going, but I don't care. Woo has given me, like, I know I've lost to JC twice, and I should be probably saying JC rolled me. That was last season. This season, hardest game I've had to play this season by far. That insane. Woo did amazing. Last minute Linoons go 2-0, so they are at a neutral record. That's pretty big for them. Coming out of week 2, they were 1-3. It was looking kind of tough, but now that they're sitting at even, as you can see on the standings, sitting in fourth, tied for fourth with Tabs, who went 1-1. Went 2-0 week 1, 0-2 week 3, but even it out at 3-3. As long as he can keep this neutral record and maybe just try to get some wins as the season goes on, I can definitely see Tabs keeping this like higher of the ranking placement. Um, yeah, I think Tabs and MNS played really good this week. Obviously, Tabs lost to Alex and the BJCL Bandits, but he lied. He's not new. I don't care what anyone says. He may. I mean, obviously he's not, but you know, he. My brain just froze. But god damn it, he played really fucking well. It surprised all of us. JC went 2-0 for the week. Beat Tanner, ended his winning streak, and he played Woo, and Chansey just kind of diffed Woo. We didn't really have anything for it, so again, that Chansey line has been a big threat this past week, so people are going to start prepping a lot more. Tanner had a really rough week. Lost to JC in I mean, he won game 2, but he lost this set, which is tough. Lost his winning streak. And then his game against Alex, I'll just be honest, if Alex wasn't so new and he knew just a little bit more, he actually would have beat Tanner. I mean, game 1, Tanner got hacked pretty bad, I'll be honest. But game 2, he got sub up with Mega Dancy, and Tanner literally had nothing for it. So if he just kept clicking moves, and if he didn't have rock polish and just kept clicking moves, he would have 6-0 Tanner. So, and even not even just that, just so many other turns that just shows that he's new and inexperienced. That if his sets are just a little bit different and he knew what to do a little bit more, he would have easily beat Tanner. But again, that's why we do double eliminate or double round robin, so you get that extra experience. But yeah, um, really tough. I mean, not even tough. If anything, it's more tough for Tanner because he almost got beat by someone that just came into the league. So, very rough week for Tanner. Yeah, and then your boy 6-0. Yeah. Uh, Managed to keep my win record, but that's not to say it was easy. My game against Wu got me on a fucking heart monitor. My game against Chris, I just had to make the plays I made, and I made them correctly. I was happy about it. All right. So these are the objective standings. Objective standings. This is just how it is. Now this is the power rankings where I place people to how I think they actually played in the week. Last place. I'll probably put BJCL Bandits. Um, I'll put BJCL Bandits. I don't know. I'm gonna put Preston here actually, and then BJCL Bandits here. So my reasoning for this, actually, no, that's not fair. That's not fair. That's not fair. Cause who went? I'm trying to think. You know, I think Chase probably underperformed the. I almost just put Chase. I think Chase probably played the worst this week. He had a really rough week, but he did underperform. I don't think he brought either Tabs or Mnez to a game 3. Let me just double check really quick. Chase 2 games against Mnez, and then Chase here. Yeah, no, he didn't break either of them to a game 3, so he got 2-0'd both sets. He it was just tough. He tried to build on his own this week, which I can respect, but again, just a little trouble figuring out what threats to assess, what to prep for exactly, what moves to bring. So tough week, really tough week for him. But that's not to say that he can't rebound. One bad week doesn't mean anything, and I can definitely see him coming back and really, really figuring this shit out. One bad week doesn't mean anything. I mean, you see these rankings right here. I mean, if you want to count these teams as winning records, you can, but they're even, so like they're not even considered winning. So literally, 3 teams have winning records, and 7 teams have neutral to losing records. This season is so competitive, it's crazy. Like the race for playoffs between these 7 teams is going to be insane. Obviously, me, Tanner, JC can have a really bad end season around these second rematch games that are coming up in a couple weeks, but the playoff race for these 7 is so extreme, and there's going to be upsets with these top 3 teams coming into the last like once we start doing these rematches in uh week 5, I believe. Yeah, week 5 when the first round of rematches start. Expect these top teams. Like I don't expect to keep my. Obviously, I'm going for the flawless season and winning the chip, but with these rematches coming around, I don't see how I keep it. So again, expect these top 3 teams to really get some losses in the second half of the season. Expect these teams to really start getting some more dubs. It's gonna be a tough season, but Chase, nothing to worry about. One bad week doesn't mean nothing. Another person that had kind of a bad week was the Arizona Ash Ketchums. Had Preston beat, but made one wrong prediction in front of a scissor, and he lost. Um, when there's a sword stance scissor, I get that he probably should have switched out, but at that position, in Preston's mind, he's probably thinking if I don't just bullet punch, I probably lose because I need this sword stance, and he probably couldn't get another opportunity to sword stance that game, so he just hit the yellow button. Chris over predicted, and he lost because of it. I mean, that's what it really comes down to in Pokemon. One wrong prediction can lead to a loss, and that's what happened. And then his game against me, he failed to keep Crobat alive long enough, so rocks were permanent, and Charizard obviously took 50% and just kind of died when it came in, so a tough week for Chris. But again, just like Chase, one bad week doesn't mean nothing, because week 2, Chris played out of his mind and went 2-0, so again, really nothing to be ashamed of. Just one bad week, nothing to worry about. Um, Next up on the list, I'll probably put Beedrill Bandits here. So this is probably gonna get me some flack, but I'll explain. Uh, I don't know. It's so close. I'm just gonna do this. Reasoning for putting Bandits here is because they beat Tabs in a game 3, which is very big for him. He got a big win, and then his game against Tanner. He literally had him beat so many different times. It's not even funny. He had Tanner beat so many different times, but he just didn't have the correct sets, and he didn't know what to click. And really, I get you can make the argument that he's new and he should be placed here, and then Preston should be placed 8th. But inexperience matters in power rankings. I don't care. He literally had Tanner beat in so many different scenarios in game 2 and 3, but couldn't find a way to punch his number in, and that costed him the set. Obviously, nothing to be ashamed. First week, and he blew away everyone's expectations, so really, hats off to him, truly. Um, but like I said, he had Tanner beat in so many different scenarios and couldn't find a way to capitalize on it that I had to put him 8th. Now, if he did manage to beat Tanner, he'd be like number 3 or number 4 this week. He went crazy. Maybe even number 2 or 1. I don't know. But he had an amazing week. Really, really proud of him. I'm excited to see what he does. Preston, first up against Chris, made a ballsy prediction on staying in and potentially losing the game by losing a scissor, but made a great prediction. Knew that Chris was maybe going to overpredict. Stayed in and swept his team up with the scissor. Great game for him. His second game against, what was it, Tabs? Oh, MS. He brought MS with game 3. Very, very close games for Preston this week. Game 3, both sets. It's getting a lot more competitive. Preston's starting to come up. Got his first win. Almost beat MNAS as well. Preston's stunks are going up. Be afraid, my boy. He's figuring out his team. It's really starting to move up a little bit. I'm excited to see what he can do moving into the season. Next up on the list, probably this is where it gets tough. Because Wu technically went 0-2. I'll put Wu here. Actually, I might be biased by putting Wu 6, but I think he really did play really well. Oh, man. Because Wu said against me, he played. Wu played so phenomenal against me, and then he just didn't have the sets to beat JC. So it's like he played really well one game, but then he underperformed one game. So it's like, do I put him 8th and move the Bandits and Conkelders up one, or do I keep him 6th? Um, it's tough. It's tough. It's really tough. I'm gonna keep him 6th. I'm probably gonna get some hate for this because he did go 0-2. So putting him up over 2 teams that went 1-1 looks a little biased, but I'm the undefeated team, and there's only 3 teams I haven't played yet: MNAS, Tabs, and Tanner. Everyone else I've played. Well, I guess I haven't played B either because he just joined, but everyone else I've played, and I even played against JC, reigning champ. JC didn't even give me close to the running of the money as Wu did. And like I said, if Wu just had some more moves that could hit the Chansey, that game with JC goes a lot different. I don't care. I'm keeping Wu here. I know he went 0-2, so you could probably say just put him 8th. But again, these are power rankings, and I think people played. I think Wu played fantastically this week. I'm keeping him here. El Bozo, if you're mad. Next up, probably put Tabs here. So Tabs had a rough set against B, but I think that's because um, he was mostly just not expecting him to play as well as he did. He was underestimating him, and then he really got his attitude and head together and beat Chase, which is big for him. Managed to keep his record at neutral, which is pretty big, especially considering how competitive this shit is right here. These bottom 7 teams are really going to have a race for playoffs, and again, getting into the rematches, expect a lot, like these top 3 teams, me, Tanner, and JC, to start getting a lot more losses. So, again, when the second round robin comes, it's going to be a crazy playoff race. But Tabs had rough set against B, but good set against Chase. Managed to stay afloat at neutral. Number 5. Solid week for iffy Saturday, but good Sunday. Okay week for Tabs. Coming up next, trying to think. Do I put Tanner here or do I put MNAS? MNAS, who did MNAS played Preston, and he played, who else did he play, bro? And he played Chase. I'm gonna put Tanner here actually. Monroe Minans. I'm gonna put Tanner here. Again, rough game against JC. Fell again. Finals rematch, he fell again to JC. And then his game against B, like I'm telling you, if B just was a little more experienced and just knew a little bit more and had a little bit different sets and more of a game plan going into this game, he beats Tanner. I don't care. Hacks or not, he beats Tanner. Yeah, like game 1, sure, whatever. You can make the argument that it was hacksy as fuck. I acknowledge that, but even then, the plays that he was making game 2 and 3, it really solidified in my mind that he was outplaying Tanner. I don't care what anyone says. He was outplaying Tanner. I don't care if that makes Tanner angry. I don't care if that makes anyone else angry. It's facts. He was outplaying Tanner. He just didn't know what to click when he made those predictions. So Tanner had a very rough week. Managed to get 1-1, so at least he cut it neutral for the week. But really poor performance for him considering how the first 2 weeks went. Um, so hopefully with these trades with Hydreigon and Comfy, get him a little bit more rejuvenated, get him going for the second half of the season. Excited to see what the boy can do. Good rebound coming in. Next up, you have Mnaz. The last vanilla news. Big week for him. He was 1-3 going into this week, but came out 3-3, so he managed to cut his record at neutral. He beat who did he beat? Preston and Chase. His game against Preston was pretty close, but played around the Zoroark pretty well. And his game against Chase, Blissey Diff. No, not Blissey. What the fuck? No, he didn't play Chase, bro. Who the fuck did he play? I'm getting it confused. Preston and who else? Where's Mnez? I'm getting so confused, bro. He did play Chase. What the fuck? What does he have? Oh, okay, it was this game. Okay, so Chase had nothing for the Jellicent. Okay, I got Chase's games mixed up. My bad. Chase had nothing for the Jellicent that game. But again, really good prep on Mnaz's part. Really solid week for him. Excited to see him hopefully getting a winning record and joining the boys up here. Same with Tabs. If they win their games next week, they have potential to be up here in winning records. Everyone else, it doesn't matter if they win both their games or not. They're sitting at neutral. Like say the Diglets, Ketchums, or Hitmontops win both their games next week. They're still sitting at 4-4. Obviously, still a good record, but not a winning record, which is what I was saying. So hopefully they can break out and get some winning records. Excited to see what Mnaz can do moving forward. Number 2. It's tough. It's tough. I kind of want to put me here, and I think I am. I think I played well, but my game against Wu was a lot closer than I think most people anticipated. I over prepped for the sand, and I didn't prep enough for his defensive threats this week, which allowed Aromatisse and Venusaur to kind of go crazy. So yeah, lack of prep on my end. I still managed to go 2-0, but lack of prep on my end, and a game against Chris, I won that pretty solidly, but really my game against Wu, I prepped a little bit differently, and if I had a little, like, if I had Gunk Shot on Infernape, and if I had, like, Air Slash on Shaman for Venusaur, game goes a lot more in my favor, but just a lack of prep on my end, and a very good prep on my opponent's end in Wu, so yeah, I think 2's fair. I know I did win both my games, but so did JC. He had a very good set against Tanner. Made some questionable plays, to be honest, in some of the games against Tanner, but still managed to win. Game 3, stuck to the play. Oh my God, what game plan? God, my brain is just fried right now. Stuck to the game plan in Game 3 against Tanner. Got the spikes up, and then just Trick Room swept with Guzzlord. Glad he got that off. And then his game against who did he play? Oh, his game against Wu, just Chansey Diff, really. So yeah, I think JC probably played the best this week. I mean, I guess you could make the argument for me, but I think my game against Wu is a lot closer than most people anticipated, and that's why I'm placing myself a little lower this week. But again, these are the objective standings. The boys, very competitive. I'll be honest. I'm really excited for the second half. These are the power rankings and where I think teams stand coming out of how they perform this week specifically. So yeah, you're mad, El Bozo. If you're happy, cool. But yeah, these are the power rankings. And again, I went over the trades a little bit in the beginning, so went over some of the trades in the beginning. So yeah, hopefully you enjoyed, and we are gonna be getting out of here. Bye.